has been quite a while since we have had a tank here in one of these tournaments. And this new tournament from Races and Fun features not one, but two tanks out there on the field. Hey everybody, I'm Brendan, and I'm very excited to welcome us to this new tournament with Races and Fun called the Double Tank. The Double Tank, and we'll have a finish there. We have a timer on this one. It is 2 cars. That's another thing we haven't seen in a while. Usually we've been racing 4, so it's a 1v1. It is 2 heats instead of 4, and the fastest time over 2 heats will lot the winning car. Now there's something else interesting and new about this tournament. Well, not necessarily new, but returning that we haven't seen in a while, and that is the return of certain teams, as you saw there at the beginning, that we really haven't seen in a while. X-Racers. Can I say that again? X-Racers. We haven't seen them in quite a while. Oh, a tough move right there, by the way. And jump. We'll see how that time ends up. He skids across. X-Racers have been ghosting for a while. 5.3, that's better. We haven't seen them, but they are back. Street Beasts. A new set of Street Beasts. No duck and roll in there, unfortunately, but we got some Street Beasts back. We got the Batmobiles back, who featured a lot in the 1v1 tournaments in the past. We have the Fantasy team back. As the best time, 5.3 for the Formula 1. So we have a lot of old structures back in this one, which is very, very exciting. There's the Electrac on the far side. Ooh, takes a tough bump. He's upside down. I didn't realize that for a second, but he is. And he won't finish this one. Let's see what that time is. 5.5. Might be better if there's a camera back there just to flick to the time, but we're going to pan over and see him at the hairpin. Upside down. I don't even know how he managed to roll like that and then cover so much ground after he's riding on his hood. That's the incredible part. See, oh wow, it was such a quick roll. You almost missed it. I missed it at first. But it's good to be back in some kind of older standard Races and Fun fare here with the 1v1s and the times and the old teams and the double tank. I mean, this is great. Hydrocell, Electrac. Hydrocell starts off. Well, that was actually the Hydrocell who flipped over and was out of it. I misspoke. Electrac actually taking the lead here. Hydrocell was the one who flipped over, and now the one who's going to lose here. That's a tough way to go. 5.1. So, the question we all get to excite ourselves about over the course of the tournament is how low can we cut the time? How low can we cut it? Can we get this time down under 4 seconds? That's what I'm wondering. Kind of like a speedrun strat. Speedrun type of question. How low can we get it? I think we can go below 4.5. I think that over the course of this tournament, that's a very possible situation. Electrac and the Formula 1's advance here. Let's get that second group going. Stalker, Batmobile, Velociracer, and Riveted. Batmobile and Stalker. How low can that time go? Stalker on the far side. They're out by a length. Big jump. Ooh, nice and clean for the Stalker. Batmobile's going to start the turn. Stalker stays straight. Another one. Pretty clean. Maybe the cleanest run yet until the end where he skids. I'm guessing a 4.9. Let's see how as we turn. 5.2. Oh, so a little slower than I thought. Actually, 5.29. So really close to that 5.3. And that second decimal, even that third decimal, is going to be key here because we have such low numbers on our timer. This is a quick course. It's only hitting in the 5s on time unless there's very slow racing or DNFs or stuff like that. Okay, so that second decimal is going to be that, I'd say that pin decimal, the decimal that we're going to be revolving around a lot to see where times are moving. And that first one will be harder to move around. Here comes the Stalker, he cuts in front of the Batmobile and stays barely ahead. That should give him the win. It will, even if his time is slower, 3.9 this time. And then the third decimal is going to be more useful as just kind of a rounding number. A number that kind of helps us really parse out times and their differences when they get very close like that. But that second decimal is going to play a big part in understanding where the times are moving to. 5.29 in this one. So try to keep your mind remembering at least down to the second decimal. Velociracer and the Riveted. Velociracer doesn't look aerodynamically useful in this one, but he's holding his own pretty well. Riveted cuts in front, but he's all over the place. Velociracer finds the gap on the outside, and he's straight to the finish. That looked very fast. Very fast. 5.37, not bad. Look at the playthrough here. I mean, we'll actually cut to the end here, but yeah, Velociracer found that gap through the hairpin when he was cut off. Riveted couldn't control himself after he made a great offensive move, and that's the problem with some offense in these races. You just can't control yourself afterwards. I mean, with such a short race, you don't really have time to make that up. Riveted staying in front right now. Velociracer skidding. Riveted just needs to beat the time of 5.37 to move on, and he might have. We'll come all the way over here and turn around. 5.26, and that's definitely enough. 2.62. And that'll be advancement for the Riveted. And into the goo, yeah. I mean, yeah, it's supposed to represent water. But the goo is a lot more friendly to keeping these cars from being too damaged. You get too much water on these axles. Not good. So it was a smart move by the officials at Races and Fun in order that the cars might be saved repairs. Advances, Stalker, Riveted, you saw it. And remember, in this one, we're kind of getting one from each group, right? We're kind of getting one from each group, each video here. See, we got 4 advancing to these finals. And so you're kind of seeing how it's going here, right? So you got 4 sets, right? 4 sets of 2-car heats. There's the Stalker taking the first one. And we'll see what the time is. Not great, 5.4. You get 4 sets, 2 heats in each set with 2 cars, right? And of those 4 sets, so that's 8 cars, 1 car from each of the 4 sets is advancing. And then one of those 4 cars from each group will go to that final group where it'll be 2 on 2. And then we just kind of group them in the first 2 sets and the last 2 sets so that we have a place to put to make the 2v2 matchups here in the finals. There's the Stalker in front, turns around on his back, and he beat the 5.4. He's going to win. That was very fast skid. He actually is slower that time, but staying in front does allow him to win no matter what. I mean, what I'm saying here is that if you win both your races, it's not really possible to have a slower time than the car who lost to you both times. In total. There's a 5.4. Especially since you get an X anyway if you don't win, so that's fair. Electrac and Riveted. And so it's just some grouping, but it's really 8 cars down to 4, and then down to 2, and then to finish here. Electrac in the front, pinches, and he's probably going to, well, he is going to take that, but I don't know what the time's going to be. 5.4. Not bad. I think the Riveted has a chance here. Ooh, look at the synchronicity by which they get over that first tank, and then, of course, down here, not so much as they all separated. But yeah, this is definitely a kind of tournament we haven't seen in a while. Very exciting to be back out here with some 1v1s, really get to know these singular vehicles as they run through their heats. Riveted on the near side. Oh, he turns. It's over. This track is too short for that to be good. Electrac is over the jump, and he finishes. And since it's about time, you don't have time to skid. You don't have time for those mistakes. 5.23, not a bad time. I believe our record right now is about 5.1, but I forget the second decimal, I'll be honest. But someone in the comments probably won't. Big jump. Look at the airtime on that. And gets a little bit of that, the axial turn there as he lifts over the tank. As long as you don't get too much of that, ooh, that's a rough hit, then when you come down, see, it comes down front wheel right first, but it didn't lose that much speed because it wasn't too turned over. Electrac will take it. First final round of this tournament. Electrac, Stalker. One from each team. Remember that we saw at the beginning? Came out. Electrac and the Stalker. Still obviously from two separate teams is my point here. Stalker out ahead here. Oh, by a little bit. Got nudged forward and maintain control to lift himself over the line. Not the fastest of times. 5.6 is a tough place to start. And I think a lot of that time loss comes from very small things. Remember, we're talking time loss between decimals here, okay? It's tenths of seconds, and sometimes less. So that time loss is not coming from lack of speed. It's not coming from a long mistake or a bad gate start that's leading into some real nonsense. And no, it's really just nudges. It's just nudges on the track, a tough turn. See, right there, that's time loss right there. If you take that weird hairpin line, even though it looks about the same speed, Stalker's going to win this one, but it's going to be hard to go sub 5 down to 4.5 very quickly. 5.4, that's enough to win, though. You win both your races again, it's easy to take it. Ooh, nose to nose there as they made the jump, too. That must have been some view for both of them as they went over. And the Electrac didn't really have a way to make that happen. So 5.488 will be the winning time. Well, not the best time, but the winning time for the advancement to the final. Stalker already gotten a chance to see how cars manage this course. Hey, everybody, I'm Brendan, and I'm ready to see some action. I saw in the comments about 5.1, I think it was 011 or something. Someone typed out all the decimals was the fastest time we had. And we're going to see if it can be broken. And we're going to see if these 1v1s end in any disaster. I don't think we've seen a couple cars maybe hit that tank right there. There goes the hot rod for one. That was fast. That could have been good. That might have broken some numbers. No, 5.3, so not as fast as I thought. I mean, I was saying crazy things, if you remember back early on in day one. I was like, we're going to hit sub 4, which really seems nonsensical. Below 4 seconds seems way too fast. Well, there is a car called the Way Too Fast somewhere. Oh, Rogue Hog, by the way. Rogue Hog, not Hot Rod. Got them all mixed up in my head. But, I was even saying 4.5 sub would be possible, but I'm just not sure. Rogue Hog, big jump, and he manages to stay ahead. He's going to take this one. Was that a faster time? Probably not. It's 5.4. But I think that we can get the time to 4.4. Sub 4.5. Sub 4.5. I believe that's possible. We just have to... The car's got to get a good run. There has to be clearance and a fast landing from the first the first tank. Scion, XB, and the Owl Eruption. I believe that's the Air Eruption. I'm almost sure of it. We've seen that car many times before. So I got to point him out even in more grandeur because of that typo. Air Eruption, big jump, lands cleanly, looks fast. This could be close to the record. Let's see, turning around. 5.4, so I misjudged time. Though technically 0.3 seconds is not far from the record. I mean, relatively, compared to the times we usually see, it is kind of far, but I mean, in the grand scheme of things, 0.3 seconds is a very short amount of time. Like, even the time it took me to set time right there, and already 0.3 seconds went by. That's not a lot of time at all. Look, 0.3 seconds is going by so many times over the course of this race. Air Eruption, big jump here, flattens out, and this could be a little bit lower. Air Eruption's going to move on. 5.3, and it's a 3.9. Air Eruption, I think that was the killer right there for the couple seconds of time. That front wheel land both times, actually, on the right wheel, too. Tends to, I guess, weight himself that way. Maybe that's where he's a little heavier. And that, I mean, it's not a run killer, but it does kill a tenth of a second here and there. That's going to add up. And it's going to dock that time just a little bit. Second group, Formula One, Batmobile, Stalker, and the Radical Race. Remember, we have 8 teams, and 1 car from each team comes out each of these 8 days. So you'll see that. Batmobile on the far side there, starting strong, big jump, flattens out, and they're all amuck in the line here. Batmobile, ooh, cutting across really well, stays ahead, loses it, and he knocks the other competitor forward, who does a weird kind of nose-centered turn. You saw that, 5.6. But maybe you see this in the replay more on the next jump. See, he does this turn that's centered on the nose, with the spoiler being the outer radius, and whips it over top the Batmobile. What a turn. Formula One. And he'll take to the track this time, and they're about even. Batmobile looking to break through with a faster time, loses out. Formula One, Batmobile finds the gap and flips the Formula One off and finishes in what I think is about a 5.5. Formula One is not completely flipped off. Looked like he left the screen. Oh, and that is 0.12 slow, 5.7, so not good enough to move on. Formula One will win. Let's see if we can see this flip here. Boom! Oh, that was actually the ledge of the track. I thought the Batmobile had a hand in it. The Formula One straightens himself out, and he's a winner anyway. Wow. Almost fell into the drink, which is actually goo. And this one, Stocker and the Radical Racer. Heat 1 and 2 to come next. Stocker, near side, Radical Racer, the far side. Had a lead for a second. Stocker with the jump, loses it, now turns. Not a great hairpin. Radical Racer radically moving towards the finish. First place. I don't know how good that time was, but 5.5 is acceptable. Maybe we won't see a sub 5 even. I know we'll see a sub. We're going to see a sub 5, right? We have to. Here's some goo. See, cars don't get affected as much as the goo. It's kind of a bouncy surface, which is nice. And I think it's a good replacement for the water. You don't want those axles rusting up and getting all wet and water clogged and whatever. And the goo is kind of fun, you know. It's a little bit of a silly surface. All right, 5.58 for the Radical Racer. And we're going to roll him out again. Far side, the Stocker. Near side, the Radical Racer. Ooh, loses out. Stocker blasting through. Second jump here and keeps the lead. Loses the lead. Radical Racer turns around, leaves the track with 2 wheels, and wins that one with a 5.37. 5.37. Man, Stocker got right under the bottom of the Radical Racer there. He got the hood under there, but that was no use. He just pushed him forward, and we're advancing the Formula One and the Radical Racer. That third group coming up here. We got the Rogue Hog, Eruption, Formula One, and the Radical Racer. These are the finalists. Only one will move on, though. Rogue Hog, Eruption, near side the Rogue Hog, Eruption the far side. I think the fastest vehicle of the night, but the Rogue Hog breaks free. Ooh, turns really fast. Big jump, accelerating. Camera can't even keep up. That could be a 5.1. Let's see. And we see 5.2. Oh, so close. I think it was some of the landings. I think right here. See that tough landing where he bounced and then had to work with the eruption for a second? And not a great landing there either. You got to get the front wheels down first, but only slightly before the back ones. That's going to take off a couple tenths and keep him from that sub 5. We've not seen a sub 5 yet, and we're waiting on it. Rogue Hog on the far side. Big lead so far. Getting clearance, runs into the eruption. He's going to lose some speed and hit the wall again. Big jump, front wheels early. This can't be a 5. Probably more like a 5.3, but he will move on. 5.4, actually. 5.48. And actually, looks like the times are averaging more towards that 5.4, 5.5 section. That's more where we're seeing. I think the first couple of races, the day one, caught me off guard, and I thought that we were going to be sticking at an average about 5 seconds, 5.1, and I was a little bit mistaken. Remember that 5.1 was set very early on in day one. Formula One and the Radical Racer. Radical Racer on the far side with an early lead. Formula One almost breaks back in, but loses out through the next straight after the jump. Radical Racer, the second jump. Ooh, landed cleanly, even though he looked offline. That could be fast. Turn around and see the time. 5.37. So we have some time to make up here, and I think it's balance. I really do think it's balance, especially these longer vehicles that have the spoilers. So they're very complex aerodynamically on the top, and I think that's making it hard for them to really work out faster times. It doesn't mean they can't win the races, even against faster vehicles, because of all the collisions that happen in the jumping, but it's hard for them to set the fastest time. See, Formula One was fishtailing there for a second, fishtails a little bit again, And how do we cross? That can't be more than a 5.4, and that's exactly what it is, 5.4, almost flat. But you see that fishtailing. Look at the landing here. See that that's just losing time right there. That's at least half a tenth. So you got to factor that in. Formula One will not advance, though. Radical Racer kept it a little bit faster in the first one. Here we go to the final. And we'll take a look at our Radical Racer and our Rogue Hog. This could be a good one. Radical Racer, definitely slower than the Rogue Hog, so we'll need to come up with some intelligent moves to keep himself in the game. This is not just a speed-based event, so he could do it. Big jump here, Radical Racer finds a way around and pushes himself in front, and that was very smart. 5.4, not a fast time, but against the fastest car of the day, this was smart. Accelerated into the second jump, and again, hit him on the hood. Took away some of his speed on the end of the jump. 5.45. Will he be able to hold on with such a number? Rogue Hog, near side, big jump, bounces a little bit unstably, runs out, blocks the Radical Racer, jumps to the finish, finishes. Is it enough? I think it might be. That was a fast run. And it is, ooh, I forget the decimals. That's 5.45. That's 5.45, 5.7. Does that beat the Radical Racer? I don't remember the last two decimals. I didn't think it was going to come to that, honestly. And it does by a little bit. By 0.0013. The Rogue Hog is advancing. Man, what a... I'm excited to see the Street Beasts back, and sad to not see the Duck and Roll among them, but I'm even more excited to see the X-Racers back. Hey, everybody. I'm Brendan. The X-Racers, if you remember, and there's Mach 8 and Eruption getting going. The X-Racers, they haven't appeared in a tournament for a while, and way back when I started commentary with Races and Fun. And Eruption's going to take this one pretty easily there. When I started commentary with Races and Fun, I remember the X-Racers were one of the first teams that stood out to me as a high-performing team as a 5.27. Remember, they almost had a full team sweep. I'll never forget that. And then one spiral, I think, parking garage type tournament, except for the Power Rocket, which came up one race short of claiming that title with the team. But they're a standout team, and we'll see if they can perform in this one. Eruption falling behind this time, and, well, depends on what the time of this finish was for the Speed Racer team. And it's 5.4, so not fast enough to move on. Eruption will move on. Ooh, and see through that jump, had a tough contact, and this time did not get down very smoothly as well. You want the front wheels to hit first, but you want them to hit just a little bit before the back wheels, not, you know, almost going completely vertical. Formula E Power Rage. Formula E in the near side here, off to a slow start here, already a length down. Power Rage almost leaves the track, the back bounces around. Here he goes, the next jump. Ooh, pretty clean spins, almost loses the race to the Formula E. Power Rage. Slots in there for a 5.39. Lot of mistakes and still a pretty good time. This could be good. See, he got one of his wheels on the rail there, and this time bounces down and spins here. I think just lost control, so it is possible that he could break records here if he has a clean run. Power Rage looking to cut that down, time down even further. Formula E on the far side there, loses length. He's bumped forward. This could be big for time. Big jump. He's clean. That could be it. .15. I think it's a little bit slow. Look at this. That acceleration bump just gave him speed. He lost a little control, but he was pretty straight to the end. Oh, wow. And if I remember correctly, the actual record was a little lower, 5.10. So, just off the mark for that. He will advance, though, of course, and be a tough force in the final round. Stalker and the Salt Shaker. The Salt Shaker, they're coming from the X-Racers gang. Oh, grinding on the edge there, loses some speed. And there's the big jump from Stalker. And he's going to end it early on in this first one. Bounce into that final end pillow, which is set pretty far back from the finish tape at this time. I think because cars are gaining so much speed on this track, they want to give them a little run length before the pillow. Usually the pillow, I'd say, is about half the distance away. But there's a lot of distance they cover in the post-finish line space. Let's see, Salt Shaker on the near side here. Had a tough run in the last one, a little bit faster this time, but can't seem to get around on the inside line. Oh, has a chance here on the outside, big jump! If he beats the time, he wins! Oh, the Stalker gets snapped through the finish line, too. Somehow he got a few wheels off the track. That's not fast enough, though. There's an advancement. See, he lost the line through the jump. He couldn't stay smooth. Gains it back, but he just didn't have enough time. He lost speed early on. Oh, look at that snap. And the Stalker is going to advance. Batmobile Velociracer. In the blocks. Set off the blocks, Velociracer. Veloci slow right now. Ooh, a couple lengths behind already. Batmobile staying in it, near side. Velociracer tries to find a gap. Batmobile puts on the nose block, goes off track, and still wins. 5.27, so both of these vehicles racing pretty fast in that one. Even with all the commotion there was some tough landings. Batmobile had to do something about this possible pass from the Velociracer, and he does kind of shove his nose in front for a second, and that won him the race. Let's see if he can hold on in this next one. Velociracer on the near side right now, off to a slower start, already a couple lengths down. Batmobile gets over the first jump, looking good. Round the turn they go. Velociracer is way too slow. He skidded bad, but Batmobile could break a record here. He had a fast run. Turn around, and we have a 5.21. So not ideal for record breaking, but ideal for advancement. That was the first car we've seen kind of get stuck earlier up in the track, and it was coming from the second turn that we don't get to see in the replay, where he skidded and I believe pointed that nose up through the hairpin in the bank turn. It kind of went vertical in a sense, and there's no way he's getting over this jump when he's going down sideways like that. Well, Batmobile cut his time down to 5.21 and advances. Stalker and Batmobile, the two. Third round. Eruption, Power Rage, Stalker, and Batmobile are our finalists. Our semifinalists. Now we got the Eruption and the Power Rage out there on the track. Eruption on the near side, Power Rage. Fastest car we've seen today. Bounces out nice and clean. Eruption already turning around. Power Rage staying pretty straight. Another big jump for him. He's clean. Ooh, he shoved himself against the side. But it was still pretty clean. That's a 5.16. 5.16. So close to that record. But just a little bit. 5.16. Maybe you can cut that down on this one. Eruption has a lot of work to do. Eruption on the far side. Ooh, out to a pretty speedy start, but loses the length early on again! The Power Rage pushed forward by the car behind him! He gets speed! He finishes so fast! That, I think, will do it! That's gotta do it! 5.1181! And I'd have to check the actual decimals on that. We are so close, and we'll pan up and see here. And the Eruption stuck in the goo. And officials are preparing the final time check for what the previous. This one was 5.1181. Let's see where we're at here as far as the record. Waiting on that information as we head on. And obviously the rage will move on here. We got the next two, Stalker and the Batmobile. Staying in the pocket here. Batmobile, ooh,
Clips out pretty well. Ooh, a little shaky there, but gets across in front. And he'll start strong. Well, we have the information in. The best time, and this was in race 1, well, in video 1, a few races in, was 5.1011. 5.1011. And that's going to mean that the Power Rage could not break the record, even though he was so close. Batmobile clips out nice and fast. Again, speed here! Almost off the camera, that's so fast he spins, loses some at the end. What's the time? 5.13, we get close. So Power Rage again with a 5.1181. 5.1011 is our record. So very close, yet so very far. Batmobile cuts his time down even more from the beginning of the day. 5.13 looks pretty good. Power Rage and the Batmobile, the two fastest cars we've seen today. Both very, very close to breaking the record here at the track. Both worthy of moving on. Spider-Man, Batman looks like. I think there's some Spider-Man decals on that car, so that's kind of what it looks like to me. Spider-Man, Batman, little combo there. Spider-Man not doing so well. Batmobile crosses fast. That doesn't look like a record to me, though. 5.1013. 5.1013. We just said that the record is 5.1011. It's so close. Batmobile. He's cut his time down so much today. Near side. Oh, they're both hung up there. I think that's not going to be any record-breaking time. Power Rage with not even the wind. The Batmobile is going to clip past as he spins. The 5.1011 will stand by 2 1/1000ths of a second. That's right, no, 2 10,000ths of a second, right? Because 10th, 100th, 1,000th, but it's 2 10,000ths of a second. The record will stand. The Batmobile was 2 10,000ths of a second behind. Still, episode, we had one of the closest contentions ever for a world record time on a track. And I'll tell you what, if it hadn't been for the 4th decimal place, the 10,000th place, we would have not even known that the two records were disparate. We would have seen a straight up tie between the Batmobile and I believe it was whoever the first car was from that first day. It was an early finish here. Not the fastest race, I don't think. Hey everybody, by the way, I'm Brendan, and I am recounting that last time where the Batmobile came within 2 10,000ths of a second of setting the new record, or tying the new record, the world record at this track. Thanks to the Slam Man Customs finish gate, we get to see all 4 decimal places and therefore be very precise about knowing which vehicles are faster. The Speed Racer team taking it pretty nicely to the end here once again, and that should be enough to move himself on. And to remind you, one more time, that record number, that record time is 5.1011. 5.1011, and I never thought I'd need the 4th decimals place, but lo and behold, we did. Mach it go and Mach 6, sorry, and the Mach 6 will advance. Skull Crusher and Falcon. Next groups, blue and red, a nice contrast, 2 very different looking vehicles. Falcon, a little more aerodynamic looking, jumps out to a lead. A little tough on the jump. Did not get a lot of airtime there and got those front wheels down very early. That's going to lose you some speed even if you don't notice it. That's a 5.6. The Falcon, I think both of these vehicles are struggling to keep speed on all the turns and the jumps. The Skull Crusher barely got over the jump there. I started there for a second because I almost forgot his name was the Skull Crusher. But I was right. Falcon, ooh, almost goes completely flipped over, goes halfway there on 2 wheels, sideways, bounces in for the win. He'll move on. It's 5-4, 5-4-8. So pretty slow. These 2 vehicles, not the fastest, so they've had trouble, as you saw there, keeping themselves down on the track during the course. And so that might be affecting their ability to get better times. We'll see how the Falcon does later on. Falcon Mach 6 from this first group advancing. Second group. And we have the Batmobile, the Formula E Robo Race, and the Stalker. Remember the last Batmobile we saw, and I already mentioned it, very fast. Formula E. Remember our last Formula E racer was also quite devious there and just came up a little bit short. Formula E around the outside line, finds the gap, gets in front of the Batmobile. Good cut, spins, and the Batmobile can't find the gap on the near side. On the spin, they both get locked together. Formula E, oh, a good start there, 5-5, and I think that's because of the late spinning and all the colliding. Every time 2 cars collide, they're going to take momentum away. The Formula E had some trouble spinning down towards the finish here, but that was a pretty fast performance. There's a lot of speed potential here. Batmobile on the far side there. Out to a jump for a second. Formula E fights his way back in. They're about even. Batmobile cuts away. Barely gets in front, but is wobbly. Jump over. Formula E nicks him. Hits him forward. He wins. And I think he might have the best time. He looked a little bit faster, and that time is ooh, that's very close. 5-5 again. We'll have to see the later decimals. And see the hit right there? That pushed him a little faster. See, you saw he got a little momentum from that. He did lose some control. Oh. Oh, man. We have to the 10,000th decimal an absolute tie. How is that possible? I almost want to go back in the video and see that again. Formula E to win that and move on. The odds of that are ridiculous. There's 5-3, so pretty good. I can't handle that. What? To the 10,000th, we had a straight up tie? I can't actually handle it. They're gonna send him on another heat. They're gonna do the whole thing again. So Batmobile still has another chance. They redid both heats here. I guess to be fair, Batmobile has the lead here. I don't think he's beating 5.39 after the hits he just took. If it's another tie, I might have to be done. 5.5. Formula E moves on. I don't even know how calculable those odds of getting to the 10,000th decimal a tie is. That's ridiculous. 5.5052 both times? What? Man, when this was first run, I mean, those racers and everyone watching must have been beside themselves. Robo Race and the Stalker. I've never seen that. I've never imagined that level of tie. Wow. Oh my God, I can't even dwell on the previous excitement. That was ridiculous. He did about 500 RPMs after he struck that ledge. 5.7, a very slow time. We're gonna pan up and take a look at him. I mean, he's down there. He's upside down. He didn't have the speed. What happened here? Oh my God. That's brutal. And our other Stalker friend here was very sloppy. From this angle, that looks wonderful. The Stalker was sloppy for the rest of the race. So we've had some nonsense today. We've had an incalculable. Someone in the comments with some odds on that. For the tie to the 10,000th decimal, I mean, that seems unheard of. A tenth of a second goes by so fast. So I know 100th is going by real fast, and 1,000th is like understandable at how fast that's going by. So how fast is a tenth of thousandth of a second going by? Stalker in the lead right here. Big jump, spins. Will rights himself. The barrel roll on the track after the flip. 5.37 is good enough. That was a beautiful barrel roll, too. Kept all his control. Look at this. Oh, gets himself over nicely. But yeah, someone who knows math or has logic in their head, someone give me the odds or the likeliness or the ridiculousness in some degree of that 10,000th second tie. I can't understand how that even happened, but it did. Mach 6 in the Falcon. And Falcon, pretty slow in the first one. Mach 6, oh, gets trapped there and snapped up the back of him and leaves the ground for quite a while, and Falcon will finish strong. That might not be the fastest time, but it is a winning time. Currently, 5.48. And that's the thing. You don't need to be the fastest car to win here. We love the records, but there is a ton of ways to win if you are the slower vehicle. Intelligent racing, good lines, waiting for the right moments to strike. I mean, there's so many ways that even the fastest cars lose time and lose speed and make mistakes on this track, especially when you're touching the vehicle next to you. And so being slower does not mean losing. The Falcon here is on his way to the finals almost, and he has not been faster than 5.45 the whole day. And the Speed Racer team, with their Mach 6, he falls in that first one. Falcon, near side. Mach 8, again, into a lead. Jump here. Falcon trying to find a lane to strike. Mach 6 just needs to win to take it. Oh, and he will. And that looked like it'd be faster than 5.48. And it is. 5.24. We're getting down towards those really speedy times. And he had a pretty clean run, though. So there's not a lot of time saves for him besides smoother landings on the jumps. Getting those front wheels parallel in all ways to the ground and to themselves, so you don't kind of twist and turn and bounce around there. Heat 1 and 2 for the Stocker and the Formula E coming up. Stocker, we saw some excellent motion in his first couple races. Ooh, bounces really nicely out of that first jump. Pretty clean, hits off the walls a little bit. That's going to dock some speeds. Twists. Ooh, Formula E goes for a carousel after the finish line, but that's a good 5.24 for the Stocker. He continues to cut his time down, and even with some struggles there and some bounces, a pretty solid finish. We have yet to see a sub 5 or even a sub 5.1, but we've been very close. 100th of a second off that. Stocker on the near side, looking to take this one and move on. Formula E this time, breaking into a lead, but looking like he's all over the place and slow. Can't seem to think that this would be below a 5.2, but it might be. It was relatively clean for the Formula E, but the number says 5.5, so not clean enough. I think it was here. See this? Oh, I mean, he got underneath the Stocker, underneath those back wheels for the second, and even though that didn't necessarily affect the results of the race, what it did is just pull back on the Formula E a little bit and take some speed away. Final round, Mach 6 on the Stocker. Stocker has been very dexterous today. Mach 6 has been fast and a little bit lucky, I'd say. Roll him out. Near side, the Mach 6, Stocker on the far side, lead for the Stocker. Mach 6 bounces in, doesn't get a good bounce, falls back a few lengths. Stocker still holding on pretty strong. He's upside down, didn't barrel. Mach 6 finds the finish line. 5.4. And the Mach 6 took advantage of a mistake by the Stocker. And it's actually a couple times now that he's taken a tough turn down towards the right on the second jump. And this time he couldn't do an excellent smooth barrel roll. He's nudged to the side because he's not even on his wheels. Near side, the Stocker. Maybe the faster car overall, looking to take this one. Tough bounce. Oh, ends up on top of the Mach 6 and then behind Mach 6. He just needs to hold through and win this one, and that he will, and move on. And that seemed like a pretty fast finish. 5.16. So there's a worthy competitor back in the whole thing. Oh, and had a tough jump. He could have broken a record if it wasn't for that first jump debacle where he ended up under the Stocker for a second. 5.16 is definitely a fabulous time, and he'll definitely be moving on, advancing to the finals with these other three. And what a race it's been today. What a set. Thinking about how hard it must be to orient you're racing around one jump over a tank. It changes the dynamic of the race. It changes what you need to do before that jump in order to have the speed and the orientation to land safely. And that's just one. Imagine how much difficult it is for these vehicles to address 2 jumps over 2 scary tanks. Hey everybody, I'm Brendan, and we got our first race already done here. Batmobile crossing the line pretty quickly and lotting a 5.18, so we might have some record attempts today. Excited to be back here for day 5. We're into the back half of the tournament here. And the Batmobiles, as a team, all been looking to strike gold on that new record set early on back in day 1. Batmobile twists right there for a second. I think he's going to lose some speed from that fantasy car. Almost goes off by himself. He'll win. But as a team, they've been chasing it. As a team, they've been close. Batmobile from day 3, 5.1013 to 10,000. I'm still incredulous about that. Behind the current record, which is 5.1011. Pretty incredible. Batmobile. It's a good aerodynamic design, good for speed, and all the different models that are on that team are showing it today. Fantasy didn't even get over this time. And that's 2 losses. The Batmobile will advance. We'll see back from him later on. Croc Rod in the Formula 1. And it's time for these Street Beasts to get involved. We haven't seen much from them as far as success. No Street Beasts have qualified for the finals yet. And I'm hoping one of them kind of shows themselves to be approved in these races. Croc Rod was close on that one. And loses out to the Formula. 5.4 on the clock. And I think it's this jump. They just have trouble landing themselves into the jump. Usually it's because something to do with their car body and their balancing. And they just tend to swerve a lot. Croc Rod and again Formula 1. And here's the second race. Far side the Croc Rod. Up by a little bit lead. Ooh, that's a nice jump for him right there. He looks pretty fast. Can he hold on? Formula 1 bumps him forward. Hold on! Croc Rod wins! Does he have a quicker time? The answer is yes! Yes, by 8, I believe. That's 8 10,000ths or 16 10,000ths. 5.4072. I believe we saw 080. Yeah, we saw 088. There you go. So 16 hundredths faster. 16 10,000ths? I don't understand how to do it. 1.6 hundredths? It's faster. You understand. High Roller in the Storm. Let's see. Good to see the Street Beast. Again, I was just talking about him. Get back into it. High Roller, Storm, High Roller on the near side. Ooh, big jump and swerves. Already backwards. It's an odd car shape. I think that's going to hurt him, but the Storm looking pretty sleek out there and didn't have a lot of trouble stabilizing himself after each jump. Let's look at the clock here, 5.27. So that's a pretty strong time. And look at the Storm. The bounces were minimal. He had some bounces, front wheels down only a little bit before the back. Pretty smooth overall. This could be a chance for a really fast time. And Storm, honestly, I really like the model. I like the black and gold kind of motif of it. It's one of my favorite color combos of all time. I think my favorite of all time. And so I'm a big fan of the Storm. Storm holding on there. Almost loses. High Roller snaps up over the ledge. Storm will definitely advance, so that was a little slow. And the High Roller won't even skid upside down across the finish line. It's not like that previous tournament where we saw, oh, wow, he actually got the front nose over and then flipped himself over with the back wheels, which are a little bit bigger. Remember that last tournament where we had cars unmoving, flipped over on their head, being pushed across the finish line for heat winning points. And then we send out the next couple. Stocker on the near side. Usually they're a faster set of cars, but this time slowing down a little bit. Can he find a line here through the jump? Oh, nudges forward. No, not this time. Almost on the spin, but not. 5.29. It was a pretty good race for the both of them, but there was some contact. There was some jostling in that mid-race. 5.29. Thoraxine. Thoraxine is the name of him. It's a pretty awesome name and a pretty awesome looking car with a good amount of speed. Stalker slots in front. Nice little nose nudge there. Big jump, and he's going to stay in front on that. Is that faster, though? I can't tell you until we see this time clock. No, it's not. I think it was here. See here? Where he has to try to skid and bounce in front. I mean, you lose speed with all that contact. Thoraxine moving on. He'll probably have to face off against that Batmobile soon. But he's going against the Storm first. Into the third round. I think so, anyway. They kind of misordered the... Oh, that was just the advancing screen, not the versus screen. My bad. Hang with me. I am not a perfect man. Batmobile on the near side. Rolling. Croc Rod. Ooh, almost kept up with him, but ends up in the goo, and the Batmobile is going to have a sloppy but successful race. That wasn't one of his best, but 5.27 is no problem. And Croc Rod was keeping up with him until the skid late in this second sector. And so maybe he could pull it together in this next race. It was just a lot of, see, again, swerving through these turns and these jumps for those very animalistic-looking vehicles. There you go. Batmobile landing pretty clean. Let's see what he can do here. Batmobile and the Croc Rod. Underdogs and the under favorites being the Croc Rod here. Definitely, the Street Beasts have not been doing very well in this tournament. But Batmobile holding strong. Croc Rod swerves. I think the speed is gone. He jumps. He doesn't look the fastest, but he does look pretty clean, and that's going to do it. In this one, the Batmobile will move on. 5.37, pretty strong. Anything below 5.4 I consider a good time. Anything below 5. I'd say 5. Anything below 5.6 I consider okay. And then if you're a 5.6 or above, I think that you're not doing very well. Even if you win, I mean something crazy happened on the track, or you're just there's two slow cars out there. So that's enough to advance. The Street Beasts, again, falling short of being able to make it too far. Storm and Thoraxine. Who's going to face the Batmobile? That's going to be a tough finals for whoever has to do it. Storm is definitely looking a little stronger out there, but it's hard to say for both races. Storm, nice little nose block on Thoraxine for a second, but does it work? Yes, when they have to transition into that narrower section, Thoraxine got trapped on the wall. 5.39. And look at that. See, there was a small turn, and then here again, there's a little bit of a turn, and then you get into here, boom. When they have to narrow a little bit, it was a little trapped. And they got thrown around there, but the Storm was in front. Storm now, ooh, big jump out of the gate, already a length ahead and more. He's bouncing on the walls a little bit, trying to hold his speed. Thoraxine trying to find a gap to work with, can't find one, can't win. Storm looked pretty fast that time. I'm thinking 5.2. And 5.3, so not as good as I thought, but the landings were clean here. That landing was clean, and this one was a little unclean as far as the turn, but the wheels were down in a good succession. Storm, and he'll go up against the Batmobile here in the final round. Heat 1 and 2 coming up. Set him out there. Batmobile, near side. Storm, far side. Batmobile, losing right now. And swerves. He's already out of this one. Storm, ooh, holding on, but he starts to swerve, so he almost brought Batmobile back in, but he's going to stay straight. That looks like about a 5.3. 5.47. Actually, not very fast. And a bounce through those turns. A little tougher on the landing there for Storm, but he just needed to stay in front of Batmobile. I feel like Storm started stronger and now is not as strong as he had started. Let's take a look. Batmobile, ooh, much faster out of the gate. Ooh, but it's grinded back by Storm early on. Batmobile only a length ahead, needs to find a gap, find a gap, jump through, and there's no gap. Batmobile wins. Is the time good enough? I think so. Ooh, yes. Yes, barely. 5.40 is just enough. And we'll jump through and we'll see it once more. And there you have it, 5.40, enough to move on to the finals. 2 Batmobiles now made it to the finals, the rest of them from all the other different teams. And no Street Beasts on the board quite yet. That'll do it. Episodes ago, we had a tie down to the 4th decimal between 2 vehicles in a respective heat. And I asked the audience, tell me, what would be the odds of that? Mathematically, how likely is that even to possibly occur? Because it seemed impossible to me. And we got a response with, unfortunately, no data to back it up, but at least the information. They said 1 in 100 million. Shout out to that person who offered that. It was a close one right there to start. And, I mean, that sounds about right. Hey, everybody, by the way, I'm Brendan. We're into day 6 of this double tank jump tournament. I said double jank. So sometimes with the way these cars move, it might be just about right. Cosmic Coupe into Formula 1. Formula 1 started off with a 5.4 on the clock. And, well, it has been quite an exciting tournament so far. Here comes the Formula 1 over the big jump, lands, and swerves his way to the finish. Only a length ahead, but it's just enough. This time puts out about a time of 5.5. Remember, our record here is 5. Ooh, man, on those a lot of ones and O's, but it's about 5.1. I believe it's 5.1011, if I remember correctly, and we had a 5.1013 not too long ago, which is crazy to see how close it was. I remember I was raving about that. But no matter, that's our record, and we have not yet have it broken in this one. Here we go, to the finish. And it's again another close race, but let's see what that clock says. 5.3. Pretty fast vehicles so far. People are asking, why do we have the timer seem to be twice as fast as the actual time it takes for the cars in video to make their journey? Roadster Bite and the Super Stinger, by the way. I don't think I called that out. And that is because we have the videos in about half speed in order that you might see the racing. These cars move at incredible paces in reality. There's Roadster Bite turning things around with this one. Does he beat the time? He does! 5.23, he'll be moving on. And so, back to what I was saying, we do have the videos half the speed, basically, in order that you might see the action better. Maybe we can try one on full speed. I don't know what it would look like. Maybe just a blur. Formula 1 and the Roadster Bite. Another one of those. Oh no, they're advancing. Speed Racer and the stock car. Stock car. So, yeah, this is cars moving pretty fast, but it's still only about half the speed. Stock car's gonna fall right into the gel and need that get out of jail free card, as I saw another commenter put not too long ago. Pretty funny. And the well, he'll settle in there. Oh, Speed Racer's gonna win this one. Looks like he tore up some of the gel as he fell there. Looks very messy at the bottom. Speed Racer actually had a tough exit from the first jump, but it was that second jump that he was much better on. Got those front wheels down just before the back ones, and the stock car couldn't right himself through that hairpin. But he is possibly faster. We'll see if he comes out strong here. Stocker on the near side. Speed Racer on the far side. Speed Racer out by a little bit of a length. Lands pretty smoothly for both of them. A little bit bouncy on the stock car. Starts to spin again. He might go into the gel twice in a row. He's gone. Speed Racer. Speed Racer. 5.37. And moving on. Stock car falling amongst the sea creatures who, funnily enough, are all outside of the gel. I guess they don't like the substitute for water either. They're almost on the walls. Just noticed how funny that was. It actually was pretty close there to a pretty interesting time, but could do no better than 5.37. He will be moving on, though. Let's get Dr. Strange and the Batmobile out there. Batman. Reminds me of that recent trailer I saw for a movie. There's Batmobile racing. Ooh, good cutoff of Doctor Strange. I mean, that was excellent racing out of the exit of the hairpin. And he's going to end with a 5.29. I saw a trailer recently for this movie. I was in the movies today, actually. I saw... What did I see? I saw that movie Indiana Jones today, that new one, which actually I thought was really cool. But there was a trailer before it about some movie called Blue Beetle, I think it is. And they made a joke about Batman being a fascist. That's all I remember about it. It seemed like a pretty interesting trailer. Doctor Strange is going to take that one. And let's roll over and see our time. 5.23. So that could be enough to move on. Ooh, a good jump there. You see that clean landing on that first jump. A little tougher on the second one. I managed to get away. It was some kind of trailer about... Yeah, that's going to be enough. 5.23 with math. It was some kind of trailer about some kid finds his beetle. It's kind of like the Spider-Man story all over again. He finds his like scarab beetle and it like enters him or something, and he just has all these powers. Heat 1 and 2. I might start doing this, by the way, just like talking about other things during the episodes that are just going on in my life. Expand some of the possible commentary a little bit. I don't know if you guys would like that or hate that. You tell me. Because then I'll shut up about anything else besides what these vehicles are doing if it bothers you. But I might have some fun with it. 5.32, not a bad starting time. It's like the beetle enters him, and it's it like takes him over, and he can do like crazy stuff, but it's not really in his control. Roadster Bite in Formula 1, by the way, or 2. Really an odd movie. It seemed like a mashup of all the old superhero movies, just like they're just trying to make another one. Formula 1's going to take that. Is that a good enough time, though? It actually looked like quite a fast run. Let's turn around on it. 5.27 is definitely good enough. It beats out the Roadster Bite, and Formula 1 moves on. So I don't know if I'll check it out, but certainly an interesting trailer. They called Batman a fascist in the trailer. That's all I remember, so Batmobile jogged that memory. Doctor Strange in the speed racing. Strange on the far side gets a nice clean jump. He has a couple lengths to lead. Speed Racer's backwards. He may not get over and does not, and Doctor Strange is going to start strong in this one. Let's turn around and get our time. 5.31. I mean, these races are looking fast. They're pretty consistent. He actually fell off there. See, he's on the ground. I just not getting a race that's fast enough to undercut the current record. I think it's some of the jostling and some of these leaving jumps. See this jump right here? You get that front wheel down first. Oh my God! Speed Racer went for a spin. Whew. But when you don't enter and leave the jumps correctly, it can take that few tenths away that you need to get a record. Also, that jostle out of the starting gate was pretty weak for both of them. Speed Racer, though, this time claiming the lead. Let's see if he can hold up for it. He needs to beat a nice time. He got shoved by the Doctor Strange, and he has more speed down the back straight. Let's see if that's enough. It is. 5.22 is just enough to move on. See, that was the nudge there. That saved him a tenth for sure. Boom. Right through that. He gave him a nudge, and all the momentum shifted. And actually, barely. That was almost basically a 5.23. And it was enough to send him on. Formula 1 and the Speed Racer are our finalists after a lot of jostling. Let's see if they can pull off anything below that 5.2 range. First jump, clean for both of them. The Speed Racer goes for a nose block, blocking both of them and taking away speed. He breaks away, though. He has room to run, and he's going to run the first one here. Let's see if that holds up for a win. 5.5, that can't be good. I feel like both of these vehicles are going to do better in the next race. I think that Formula 1 is a little bit of a sleeper in this first one. And if he gets a good jump in the starting gate, could be dangerous in this next one. Well, he has one more heat to show that. Let's see if he does. Formula 1 on the far side, losing speed already. Actually, Speed Racer a lot faster, gets nudged forward. This could be good, but he turns around and leaves the Formula 1 room, who spins as well. They're on top of each other.
And the time is 5.55. I think it's just a little slower, and I think the Speed Racer is our winner. Look at this end part. Formula 1 just needed to finish. He spins and lets the Speed Racer smother him. That's too slow. Speed Racer Advance is not the fastest car, I don't think, of the day, but the most victorious. That's the last video. Someone in the comments had mentioned watching a video at 2x speed in order to see the cars at their real speed, since recently we had said that the videos are about half slowed down for more race visibility. And so on top of that, I went and I watched a video in 2x speed, and I gotta tell you, listening to my voice going at 2x speed is quite an event. I can't say I really know how to react to it, but it was kind of hilarious. Hey everybody, by the way, I'm Brendan, and our first race is done. Remember, our record is 5.1011, if I remember correctly. If not, it's quite close to that, about 5.1. And we had a record like that, well, we had a record attempt come within 2/10,000th of that number. Racer X Race and Turtle Shell are our first two today, and they're not very close to that number, with 5.4 as the best time. So we'll see here in day 7 if any cars have the speed. This is a nice run from Racer X Race. He crosses way ahead. Let's take a look at that time and see how we start here. 5.34. He will advance, and that's a pretty good time as he continues to move on here. Turtle Shell, I just don't think had the agility in the jumps. You see, look at this jump here, spinning around all over the place, did over a 360, and that's not going to be good for speed down those back stretches. Stalker and the Clip Rod. Clip Rod, Stalker on the near side here, gets out to an early lead with a big length and 2. Clip Rod, oh, takes a tough dive out of the jump. Stalker, clean, almost not, but he is straight to the finish. Clip Rod finishes backwards, and Stalker there almost got the wheels down too early to an effect so great that he almost flipped onto his hood, still was able to recover, went on the rail, and will still manage a 5.2, so this could be a speedster today. Looking to break the record. I'm excited now. Far side the Stalker, out 2-3 lengths already to the first jump, nice and clean. This could be a record-breaking attempt if he's clean to this next jump. Turns a little bit, maybe loses some speed. Oh, nosedives a little bit, but cleaner than last time. Clip Rod ends upside down. Will the Stalker break the record? No! Very close. 5.16. is no time to sneeze at, but it's this right here. Look at that. That front nose way too early down. Maybe a little unbalanced in the weight of the vehicle. An effect on that steeper jump. The second one came very close. And, well, just short. But we'll see him again in the finals, so this could be very good as far as trying to break that record. Maybe go sub-5. Iron Man and the F-Racer. Sorry, I almost said Fraser. I didn't see the dash there for a second. That's all right. Iron Man, Fraser. Fraser behind Iron Man. Ooh, looking good through this jump. Turns a little bit sideways. Ooh, zigs and zags. And finds a lane to cross. And he will have a 5.29. And that wasn't the cleanest run, so there's room for improvement here. We will see how this second race goes. I will say it looks like the F-Racer also has some speed, so there is potential there for the F-Racer to come back, but not with that gate start right there, already down the length. Iron Man sticking a nice clean jump right there. Front wheels down just before the back wheels is exactly how you want to do it. Oh, a little bit less clean and spins, but it's enough to win. He won both races, so he will win, and that's a 5.11! So we have multiple record-breaking potential vehicles today. I mean, even with this less than clean second jump, we have 5.1166. I am definitely excited at the potential. 5.1011 is our current record, I'll remind you. And I mean, I'll remind you again just because we have possibility, and I always get very excited about a broken record. Always very fascinated by the ability for cars to cut down that time. It's like a little bit of speed run. Oh, we have another one, 5.16.
And that's 3 cars today with record-breaking potential. And the question I feel now is who's going to do it first? Salt Shaker with 5.1 there, 1.6. And Batmobile not too far behind, but a little bit dexterous through the jumps. Let's see, Salt Shaker out to a lead, spins a little bit. Batmobile pushes them ahead. I think it's a less clean run. I'm expecting about a 5.3. Pretty fast to the end, but not too fast. Not way too fast, to reference another vehicle, and I'm right there. 5.35. You can see where the temps come off on the way they land after the tank. That's going to affect it. Boom, boom. And see how the time suffered a little bit. Iron Man and Salt Shaker advance. 3 cars with a 5.1 to their name of some sort. Opportunity knocking on the door. Racer X Race, the slowest of the group, but don't count him out because there's always that chance that vehicles that are fast don't perform too well. Racer X Race holding with the Stalker pretty well right now, only falling back a little bit. Stalker holding on. This is a pretty clean run. Here's the jump. Big jump. Almost flips over, does. And he slides across. He maintained most of that momentum. Was it enough for a record? And it was not. 5.29. You can't slide on your side and expect to put up a new time. I mean, this is very wonderful here, how he was able to still maintain control and win, but he's got to get under control that second landing. Racer X Race, far side, had a lead for a second. Stalker gets it back, clean jump. It looks like he's also still nosediving. Gonna be bad here, less bad than usual. Is it enough? I think that's about a 5.18, that's my guess. Turning around, camera. 5.19. Ooh, I'll tell you what, commentator's a little bit accurate today with those predictions. We have a gel visitor, the Racer X Race, who kind of got hit after that second hairpin, so there was no momentum for him going to the tank jump here. And the Stalker has that potential, but needs to clean up those tank jumps. By the way, look at the structuring under the tanks there. Massively expert to keep those very heavy objects up. Iron Man and the Salt Shaker, 2 record breakers. Well, 2 record breaker possibilityers. I don't know how to say it. But we'll see if they can keep it clean. Salt Shaker in the lead right now over Iron Man. Holding pretty strong. Big jump. Got nudged by Iron Man. Has speed to the end. This has got to be it. This has got to be it. Looking 5.08. 5.0852. And that is your new record here in the double tank tournament. And I think it was that nudge from Iron Man before the final tank jump. That does shave off those hundredths. 5.082. Can we go sub 5? Looking for sub 5. Iron Man far side with the lead, staying in front of Salt Shaker. Salt Shaker loses momentum. He goes. If he beats the record, he wins the heat. Turning around. 5.19. A great time, but not good enough to advance, especially since he's going up against some pretty tough competition in the Salt Shaker with his 5.0852. Very, very exciting today. The question is, now, is the Salt Shaker going to hold up against the Stalker come the finals here? Here we go. Stalker needs to clean up the jumps. Salt Shaker needs to stay fast. Into the final. Let's get it going. Stalker, Salt Shaker. Far side the Salt Shaker, near side the Stalker. Jump for both of them. Clean, but not as clean for the Stalker. They both kind of squib a little bit as they touch each other. Stalker gets back the lead, rolls off a Salt Shaker, and that's going to be a momentum boost. That could be a good time right there, and it is 5.19. Now about a 10th from our record, but that slide right there caught him up a few tenths for sure and gave him a good starting time. All he needs to do is win this race or hope Salt Shaker doesn't put up anything spectacular. Salt Shaker on the near side. Started off behind, speeds up, clean jump for both of them. They're kind of grinding against each other. That's going to be tough for them to straighten out. Here comes Salt Shaker fast to the end. Is it enough? It could be enough. I think it might be. 5.0862, just shy of his own record, and it is totally enough. The only car that's put up 2 sub 5.1s in this tournament. Absolutely amazing. 5.0852. Don't forget it. That's your record in this tournament so far. Day 8 is coming, and then the finals and we'll see that final day here at the Races and Fun Double Tank Tournament, and we'll head into that first group. This is it. The last spot is open in our finals, and one of these 8 cars will take it. Ironman and Formula Solar will get us going here. Remember, the last car from each of the teams you saw in the intro is run out to this Day 8 extravaganza. Ooh, good jump there. And Ironman will start off with the win. That was a pretty clean jump, too. Got that front right wheel down a little early, but the time is good, 5.21. And a nice clean first jump for both of them, but that Formula Solar fell back, I think after some collision after that first jump. Couldn't get the upper hand on that. And here we go. Ironman again, Formula Solar. And our record from last time, 5.0852. What a record. Can't believe that was pulled off. We'll see if we can go sub 5 by the end of this tournament. Ironman over the jump. Nice and clean. Solar is twisted. And it looks like the Ironman will win this one by a landslide. Oh, 5.0365! And we just broke a record. That didn't look like it was going to be the fastest, but it was super clean. No mistakes, and get a look at it right here, 5.0365. And we do have a new record. That sub 5 is ever so close. Formula 1 and the Stalker. Looking forward to that. 5.03. Really the big numbers to remember here. Is it possible to break that number? Is it possible to go below that? It's going to be very tough. Stalker in the jump. Oh, he got some major air there. And he'll cross pretty fast. I don't know what happened to our other vehicle. I think in the gel they go. 5.15. We're really getting some fast cars in this last couple of days. Remember in day 7, we had, I believe, 4 cars that had a sub 5.2, or at least 3 of them. And they were all threatening to take the record. One of them actually did twice. So we definitely have been seeing faster cars, except for the one there who couldn't get through that second jump. And with the 5.15, we now have a record breaker and a car below 5.2 already in day 8 here. Stalker on the near side, much faster out of the gate than the Formula 1. Rounding that hairpin, looking fast, pretty clean. Hit the side there for a second, big jump. He's on his back. He's nudged forwards. That's going to be some time loss. But it's definitely enough to win. 5.4. Good thing he did better in the first one. Formula 1 was not even able to take a race, even through the skid on the roof, on the hood. That just occurred here. And the Stalker will move on. 2 X's in the Formula 1 column. And they will advance. Stalker, beautiful car. Blue with that yellow lightning pattern, which I think stands out to me. Gray Ghost. And the Retroactive. Gray Ghost certainly seeming ghostly in appearance as well. A black base, but a lot of fun, half-opaque, ghostly colors. But it looks like the Retroactive is our faster vehicle so far in this one. What do we have on the scoreboard? The time board, 5.132. I mean, these are exciting times. That's now 3 cars today who have proven they can take a record if need be. Maybe we are going to see that sub 5 today, I'm hoping. Retroactive with a 5.13. Gray Ghost looked massively slow compared to this car, so I'm not sure if he's going to have a chance here. Retroactive already up a few lengths and more. Twisting around here, keeping the lead pretty strong. Ooh, nose down first, but it looked like a fast run. Let's see what time we got. 5.29. And good enough to move on, but no record. I love the timer. It adds so much excitement as far as who can be the actual fastest time-wise. And then, of course, there's the actual time comparison between the 2 racing. We got the Batmobile and the dragging tail whipping around the corner. The dragging looks really good, nose first, but good run. That's going to be a good way to start off this set of 2. Time of 5.29. I believe our Batmobile is stuck up there in the gel. Yes. A little coral peeking out there on the back left corner. That's about the only life you see actually residing within the gel. Most have looked for other locations, like the side of the tank. Rustled the octopus a little bit there on the jump, but he looks just fine. Golden Batmobile definitely shines pretty brightly, and it looks like a fast vehicle, but can't seem to get out there. This time, though, looking a lot faster, nudged a little bit through the hairpins. Needs to be fast, fast, fast. Down this back straight is a little bump. I don't know if that's enough. 5.29 is what he needs to beat, and he does not. And with that, our dragging tail is moving on. Again, a pretty solid performance from this vehicle, too, with a 5.29. Not sure how he's going to look in the finals, though. Retroactive and the dragging tail moving on. Now we enter the semifinals. And we have a bunch of fast vehicles to contend with here. I think our Stalker is the most consistent, but let's see how that Iron Man does with the record-breaking performance in the first one. Iron Man on the near side, already out of length and nice and smooth to the first jump. I think that's the key for the Iron Man. No mistakes on the jumps. Another one coming. Pretty fast, pretty stable. What is our time? Do we go sub 5? Maybe? No, not even close. 5.27. That seems like an eon off a sub 5. Really, even with that clean run, you need to do better than that, and the dragging tail needs to do better than not finish into the gel down by the clownfish. Reminds me of that old movie Nemo. I love that movie. Nemo was such a fun movie, and I even followed up with that newer one, that Finding Dory one. I actually enjoyed it quite a bit, but Nemo has some iconic scenes, like the fish making the shapes to point the clownfish in the right direction, and then that one scene with the girl in her braces and everything. Such a fun movie. Iron Man, though, looking pretty happy out there. Dragging tail took a tough hit, and Iron Man finishing. Does the time hold up? Oh, 5.1. So close to his own PB. But we actually have a car stuck way early on the track. That dragging tail did not perform. I think he panicked a little bit out of sorts, knowing that he was going up against some tough competition. Couldn't even keep his nose straight through that first jump. Iron Man kept it straight. And look at that. 5.1. Can't argue with that. So he's moving on. Stalker or Retroactive? Who will face the Iron Man in the finals? Stalker blue with that lightning pattern. Retroactive, kind of definitely a more retro look to him, and a little more splayed out. And slides and snaps through the finish line, but it is a fast finish. What are we going to see on the time clock? 5:19. Retroactive gets down there and just kind of flips through. They see that? He snaps through. It's a little scary. Let's see if he can muster the energy to hold into this one. Stalker on the far side there, fighting for the lead. Doesn't get it through the first jump. It's about even. Retroactive had to do a nose block to stay ahead. He does stay ahead. He's nudged forward. He gets some speed. He's straight. This could be even faster. Let's look at the time. Stalker's not going to advance, and the Retroactive will. 2 solid times, pretty low. Nothing near that sub 5. Little spin out there. Good times. Consistency from the Retroactive, and now he'll go against the Iron Man, who is definitely the smoothest racer I've seen. Something about the aerodynamics and the weight balance on this car makes it really easy for Iron Man to get the wheels down in the right succession with the right timing through the 2 jumps. Let's see how he does. Already to a lead of almost about a length. Gets his wheels down nice and quick here. Through that hairpin, looking really good. Straightens out. He's really clean here. A little bit sloppy there, but a great finish way ahead of the Retroactive. Let's see what our time is. 5.11. Whoa. That was very exceptional racing, especially against a vehicle of about his speed. Still fought him off really well. I think what's slowing him down, the Retroactive, might be that tank he's got in the back in silver. Iron Man, again, up by a couple lengths, holding on, looking for the record here. Retroactive looking for a lane to get by, can't find it. Iron Man blocks him out. And let's look at that time. Anything faster? No, not faster, but Still a good time. He will advance. I mean, he certainly deserves a win today with that new record 5.0365, and that will do it. Actually, not faster by 4/10,000s, but still great. We have our 8. Next time, the finals. Tune in for that as he's 8. One of the things I love about a tournament like this is the diversity of vehicles you get going into a finals. We had 8 teams out there, 8 different teams with separate types of cars, and now they're all coming together in this finals. Hey everybody, I'm Brendan, and of our 8 cars who made it, Stalker and the Rogue Hog are the first ones to roll out there. Stalker, of course, from the Stalker team, and Rogue Hog from a completely different one, and that's what makes it so very cool. As we cross the line, what's that first time? This is literally the benchmark for the finals, 5.37. Actually a little slower than you'd expect. Remember, a lot of these cars had set records or drawn pretty close. For a while, that long-standing 5.1011. One of these other vehicles set a 5.1013, so very close there. Many other 5.1s in other races. And we have, of course, a current record, the 5.0365. And then one other vehicle in the finals who set a time close to that as well in the sub 5.1. Stalker will actually take a nice cross there, finding that outside lane and cutting not close enough to win. Stalker, even though he found space here, did not speed up enough to win. He's down about 2/100ths, and the Rogue Hog will actually advance here. So the Stalker's going to fall short. Batmobile and the Mach 6. We've currently had 4 different teams represented already in this finals. Batmobile on the near side, Mach 6 on the far side there. Cutting away, nice nose block, trying to keep the Batmobile back. Breaks out into a nice lead. Holds on. Actually a fast time, I'd say. Let's take a look. There was a lot of connection between the two vehicles that might have pushed him back a little bit, 5.27. As much as I'd love to see a record here in the finals, I will tell you what, it's hard to pull off that kind of thing when every vehicle you race is going to be right up against you, nudging you, pushing you, slowing you down. You may win, but not with the time that you could achieve if you were alone. Mach 6 on the near side. Batmobile getting a better jump this time through the jump. Ooh, looking still strong, but has to go for a little nose block. Only turns all the way around, but straightens out. Batmobile with the spin. He's across first. Is it enough time? Look at the time. It's definitely not. The Mach 6 will advance. And I think it was some of those more uncontrolled movements the Batmobile had earlier on. His nose block was more of a full 90-degree turn, and all the spinning at the end can't be helping. Mach 6 moving on by less than 0.2. Advancing Rogue Hog and the Mach 6. Let's get that second group. More familiar with these vehicles. We've seen them more recently. Salt Shaker, Speed Racer, Iron Man, Batmobile. We remember them all, especially that Salt Shaker and Speed Racer matchup. And it looks like the Speed Racer out here against the Batmobile, and he cuts off with a nice nose block and curves ahead for the win. The Iron Man and the Salt Shaker, that's what I meant to say, was really the matchup I'm looking at. That's a slow time there, because they're both very fast. Salt Shaker and Iron Man, the only 2 cars across this entire competition to go sub 5.1 in their respective races. So this could be quite a final set of heats when we get there. Speed Racer looking to outdo the Batmobile, who has a much better jump out of the gate. Speed Racer grinds it back. Batmobile cuts right in front. It's going to be a tough race to the end, especially since the Speed Racer doesn't have the best time. And the Batmobile skids across, facing a weird direction, but he still might have the time. He does. 5.23 is definitely good enough. And the Batmobiles have a tendency to lose control here towards the end, but he was just ahead. It was almost maybe smart to do that whole full road spin. Blocked every avenue. Salt Shaker on the Iron Man. The fastest 2 we've seen in this tournament. Iron Man on the far side gets a jump. Little nose block, loses some time for sure. Maybe he's clean through this jump. Pretty clean, a little bit of a rattle. I don't know if that's really a record breaker, but it's a great time nonetheless. Starts strong with a 5.24. Salt Shaker definitely capable of coming back here, but needs to get that jump out of the gate. Replay here shows a pretty clean ending, but they got to stay off the walls if possible. 5.24 to beat. Salt Shaker, far side there. The jump, a little cleaner for Salt Shaker, up by a nose. Does he lose it? Outside line, he gets nudged forward. This is it if he can get the time. Gets a nice clean jump, barely. Is the time better? Who will advance? It is a Salt Shaker with a sub 5.1 once again, 5.08. Certainly enough to advance. That's the kind of racing you expect from an elite finalist. Absolutely every deserving reason to move on. Even the Iron Man's got to tip his cap there, seeing such a performance. Batmobile and Salt Shaker. Salt Shaker at this point looking for the record. He wants the record, he wants the win, but he wants the record too. Right now, Iron Man still holds it. But we have the Roadhog and the Mach 6 to battle it out for that other spot in the finals. Mach 6 on the far side. Oh, cuts. Ooh, wow. A very odd nose block there. That's going to give the Mach 6 a slow time, but at least a winning start. Remember, you don't want to get too slow out there even if you win, because if you lose the next race, your other vehicle can get things moving and maybe beat that time. Remember, again, it is that best time of the two races. Roadhog, Big X in Heat 1. Mach 6, 5.4 holding on. Roadhog, much better jump out of the gate, but the Mach 6 accelerates back. Oh, he gets blocked away. Roadhog turns around. Mach 6 finding that outside line. Can't get it through the jump. Can't get it again. Roadhog crosses, but it looked very slow. With all the spinning and moving, I don't know if that's enough, and I don't think it is. That's a higher 5.4, 5.47, and I think our Mach 6 is our better car, but he needs to get his act together and work on that control come the finals. Though he's a tricky racer. Batmobile and the Salt Shaker. Salt Shaker gunning for the record and gunning for the finals position. Batmobile, definitely the underdog here, but we'll see if he can pull any tough tricks. Salt Shaker looks really smooth for that first jump. Going to the second jump, a little bit of a nose. Oh, Batmobile on the far side there comes through. He comes through near side, then far, zigging and zagging, and he's got room and a beautiful time of 5.1177. Look at the pass through the air. That's exceptional. And the underdog is making a statement. Jump out of the gate. Salt Shaker a little bit slow. Gains it back here. Can he cut in front? He does. Now he has open space. Can he beat the time, though? It's such a hard time to beat. Pretty good finish. Is it enough? 5.11 to beat. And he gets a 5.13. The Salt Shaker will not see the light of day in the finals. Believe it or not, our favorite to win will not advance. Mach 6 in the Batmobile. So our best times across this tournament are not even in our last finals, our top two. That is incredible. Salt Shaker's got to be kicking himself for that, but I mean, Batmobile really turned it on in that final race. Mach 6. Flying ahead of the Batmobile. Pretty clean run. How's that speed looking through the gate? I don't know. It's hard to tell here. 5.16. They're really keeping the time low, though. There's only one more chance for that sub 5. I don't really know if it's going to happen. Not an easy time to garner. Mach 6. 5.1656, trying to hold on for the win. Batmobile on the near side needs to come back and cut through if he has a chance. He's right now not in the lead. Needs to speed up here. Mach 6 just needs to hold on. Batmobile almost found the gap. Could not. Mach 6 has the block in the last second. The time in the clock, not great, but he's already won. Oh, that was a heart clencher for the Mach 6 for sure, as the Batmobile was again looking for that inner line. But we had a little block from the Mach 6. Well done. Mach 6 wins and deserves it. Great racing, but hats off to the Iron Man as well for the best time across this tournament. That wraps up the Double Tank Tournament. Thank you for enjoying and watching. Subscribe and ring the bell. And we'll see you for the next extravaganza on Races and Fun.